Tonight, you are not merely listening to a story. You are stepping across a threshold. You are being asked to loosen your grip on the present, to set down the weight of your modern worries, and to walk barefoot across the polished stone of another century. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly. Let the world dissolve. You are about to awaken in the Mughal Empire, in the hushed shadow of marble walls, where the scent of sandalwood smoke curls like a question through the midnight air. You wake to the rustle of silk against silk, to the faint crackle of an oil lamp. The light is strange golden, heavy, swaying as if it cannot decide whether to flicker or burn steadily. It lands on a mirror propped at the far end of the chamber, a mirror taller than any man, framed with hammered silver, its edges engraved with climbing vines and verses in Persian script. But the mirror is not ordinary. It does not show you as you are now. Instead, it shows you only yesterday. Every gesture, every breath, every hesitation preserved like a painting. The palace round you seems alive. The marble is cool beneath your palms, carved not with perfection, but with the hand of time itself. You can smell roses somewhere, perhaps scattered in a bronze bowl by the door. The air hums with silence so thick that your heart dares not beat too loudly. You are no longer yourself, you're a witness, a traveler displaced, someone chosen to carry the weight of a forgotten myth. You step forward. Your feet drag slightly, as if the floor is reluctant to release you. In this world, you are clothed in soft muslin that whispers with every movement. The mirror before you glows faintly, reflecting the version of you who lived one day ago. That reflection lifts its hand a heartbeat after you do, not in mockery, but in sorrowful delay. The effect is unsettling, as if the mirror knows the truth of your hesitations better than you do. You hear footsteps outside the chamber measured, deliberate, the stride of someone who belongs here far more than you ever could. The heavy door is grown open. A servant enters, his gaze lowered, his turban tied neatly with a green silk edge. He carries a brass tray on which steam rises from a clay cup. The fragrance of kowa saffron, cardamom, almonds fills the room, and for a moment you almost forget the strangeness of the mirror. Almost. The servant does not look up. He places the cup at your side, as though he has done so 1,000 times before. Do you know you are no ruler here? You wonder if he, too, is bound by the mirror's rule, living only in echoes of what has already passed. You whisper a thank you, but your voice feels out of place, too sharp for the muffled air. The servant departs without reply, and the chamber swallows you again. The night stretches. You approach the mirror, daring to look deeper. You see not only yourself, but fragments of another life, yesterday's walk through the gardens, yesterday's words whispered under the cypress trees, yesterday's breath carried away by the Yamuna's breeze. The mirror does not lie, but it does not forgive. It forces you to face the weight of what you did, and more painfully, what you did not do. The myth says that emperors feared this mirror, that queens avoided its gaze, that poets both longed for and dreaded its honesty. For the mirror never showed tomorrow. It never hinted at what might be. It only replayed the choices you already made, reminding you that yesterday cannot be undone. Perhaps that is why it remained hidden in this chamber, behind layers of silk curtains and guarded by silence. Outside, you hear the faint murmur of the city Delhi, alive even at night. Camel bells, the call of a fruit seller lingering too late, the hiss of water being thrown across hot stone courtyards to cool them. But here, in the chamber of the mirror, the world feels hushed, as though time itself is unwilling to intrude. You are not watching history. You are inside it. You lift your hand once more, and again the reflection hesitates. You watch as the reflection repeats the gesture you made yesterday, not the one you make now. The delay is unbearable, like speaking and hearing your voice answer in a different tongue. You begin to wonder if perhaps the reflection is not truly you, but a shadow of someone who has already vanished, The oil lamp sputters, and in its dimming glow you notice inscriptions along the mirror's edge. Delicate calligraphy, curling like vines. Zenana serve Kal high. Time is only yesterday. You mouth the words, and they taste bitter. You wonder what emperor ordered them, and whether he too found himself staring into the eyes of his own regret. The night grows colder. You draw the muslin tight around your shoulders. A breeze slithers in through the yari screens, carrying with it the perfume of jasmine and the faint bite of river mist. Somewhere far off, a nightingale sings, its song both lonely and insistent, as if it knows it must pierce the silence or drown in it. You sit on the low divan placed before the mirror. Your hands rest on embroidered cushions, their patterns of peacocks and lotus flowers glowing faintly in the lamp's flicker. The mirror shows you yesterday sitting here, in the same position, your eyes equally heavy, your mouth equally unsure. You realize the mirror has captured you in a loop, binding you to a memory you never chose to keep. For a moment, you want to smash it. You want to lift a stone, a sword, your bare hand anything to shatter its silver surface. But deep inside, you know it would be useless. For even in shards, each fragment would show you only yesterday. There is no escape from what has already been. You lean closer, your breath clouding the glass. The reflection does the same, but a heartbeat too late. Your own eyes yesterday's eyes look back at you with a sadness you did not know you carried. It is as if the mirror has stripped you of the illusions you wrap round yourself, exposing only the truth that you live most of your life in yesterday, replaying words, replaying mistakes, replaying silences that still echo. The palace seems to sigh round you. Perhaps it remembers the emperors who once walked its halls, each haunted by their own yesterdays. Akbar, who sought to bind a fractious empire through faith and law, yet carried the shadows of battle lost. Jahangir, whose nights were thick with wine and whose mornings were heavy with regret. Shah Jahan, who raised marble to the sky, yet found himself alone in its shadow. They, too, must have stood here, must have stared into this very mirror, must have felt the weight of seeing only what they could never change. You place your hand against the glass. It is colder than marble, colder than water, colder than silence itself. And yet, it hums faintly, as if alive. You feel your pulse answer it, slow, reluctant, inevitable. You close your eyes. You hear the mirror whisper back not in words, but in the sound of footsteps you once made, in the laughter you once lost, in the moments you forgot to treasure. It offers you no comfort, only remembrance, and you begin to understand. The true cruelty of the mirror is not that it traps you in the past, but that it makes you see how much of your life is spent wishing for tomorrow. Even as yesterday is the only thing you ever truly possessed, the oil lamp fades further, until only a faint glow remains. The reflection in the mirror is still visible, the weaker, like the memory of a dream that refuses to dissolve completely. You curl against the cushions, the muslin wrapping you like a cocoon. The scent of kawa lingers near your lips. You try to resist sleep, but your body is heavy. Your eyes close even as the mirror continues to shine. In that last flicker of consciousness, you see yesterday's self watching you drift away. You wonder if tomorrow's self will ever appear, or if you will wake again to the same endless yesterday. The night answers only with silence. The first thing that reaches you is not sight, but scent. Before your eyelids even agree to lift, the air presses against you with the weight of dust, rose water, and something faintly metallic, like the tang of old corns. It burns your nose in a way that feels almost intimate, as if the world wants to wake you not with kindness, but with insistence. You shift, and the rustle of the muslin against your skin is followed by the dry crackle of straw beneath the woven mat. Yesterday's echo is already here, before you even manage to breathe fully. When your eyes part, you see the chamber again, though the mirror dominates everything. its silver face unwavering, its edges quivering with a light you cannot name. Yet something is different now. The reflection has changed. It shows you lying exactly as you are, but the movements are reversed. As though yesterday's body were mocking today's. You sit up sharply, and the image sits a moment later, slower, heavier. A burden trapped in silver dot. The weight of this difference makes your chest tighten. You run your hand through your hair, and the reflection repeats only after you are done. Like a servant reluctant to obey. You cannot decide if this delay is cruelty or mercy. From beyond the chamber, noise swells. The bazaar is awake. You hear the hollow beat of a Dolic drum somewhere in the distance, calling workers into rhythm. Hawkers cry fruit names in voices that rise and crack. Anna, Cuboni, Keller. Pigeons scatter suddenly, their wings slapping like wet cloth against air. The smell of frying ghee wafts in, heavy enough to make your stomach twist in longing. And yet here, in this chamber, all of it feels unreachable, as if sound itself is being filtered through yesterday before it can touch you. You rise. Your body aches with stiffness, as though it has been delayed by a day. When you press your palms together, the joints click with complaint. You pour water from the brass loader into the shallow basin. The splash echoes too loudly, breaking the fragile stillness. But when you lean forward to wash your face, the reflection again betrays you. Yesterday's hand dips into the water first, disturbing the surface before you do. Ripples collide, and for a moment you do not know if the water belongs to you or to your reflection. You think of the emperors who carried this weight before you. Imagine Akbar, awake before dawn, turning his gaze to this same mirror, watching himself argue with courtiers long gone. Imagine Jahangir, bleary-eyed, searching its surface for proof that yesterday's indulgence had not yet destroyed him. Imagine Shah Jahan, looking for Mumtaz one last time in yesterday's frame, when today offered only absence. Each of them must have stood where you stand now, wondering if the burden of ruling an empire was lighter or heavier than the burden of remembering it. A knock at the door interrupts. Not a servant's gentle tap this time, but firm, measured someone with permission to intrude. The wooden panels creak open and a figure enters. He is old, his beard long and ink-stained, his robes plain but clean. You know him without knowing his name, a court historian, the kind who catalogues not only wars and treaties, but the scent of the emperor's gardens, the weight of his eyes. He bows slightly, though his eyes remain fixed on the mirror. You must not look too long, he murmurs, his voice carrying the rasp of countless nights spent over manuscripts. The mirror is faithful, but faithfulness is a cruel companion. You want to ask who first discovered it, why it remains hidden, what use it served when empires crumbled and rose again. But before you can, he lifts a hand, silencing you with a gesture so practiced it feels older than speech. He steps closer to the mirror and raises a smaller lamp to its surface. For a moment, you see not only yourself, but countless figures layered behind. Soldiers with spears, veiled women peering through lattice screens, children clutching kites. Merchants with scales of brass. The mirror holds them all, each of their yesterdays trapped forever. A weight heavier than any crown, the historian lowers the lamp. His gaze softens, almost pitying. To see only yesterday, he whispers, is to be reminded that tomorrow will never arrive. Then, with a sigh, he turns and leaves as silently as he came. You are alone again. The mirror waits tot hunger drives you from the chamber. You push open the carved doors, step into the corridor, and the world rushes in like a tide. The sandstone walls glow red with morning light. Peacocks strut arrogantly in the garden below, their cries sharp and unashamed. A maid sweeps rose petals into neat piles, the broom scratch steady, almost soothing. Beyond the arches, you glimpse the Yamuna River, glittering with the first brightness of the sun. Yet even here, surrounded by life, yesterday lingers. You notice how the petals being swept away are the same that lay scattered last evening. The cries of the peacocks echo a pattern you already heard in your dream. Even the river seems to carry yesterday's shimmer, refusing to sparkle with anything new. You realize the mirror is not confined to the chamber it stains the world itself. You wander into the courtyard, where a boy no older than 12 offers you a cup of buttermilk, the clay pot cool against your palm. His smile is wide, his teeth crooked, and for a moment you almost forget the weight of the mirror. But then you see it. The boy's shadow lags behind him, moving with yesterday's delay. You drop the pot, startled, and the liquid splashes across the stone, seeping into the cracks like milk spilled in an endless loop. The boy does not seem to notice. He bows and runs off, his laughter trailing like a kite string pulled by yesterday's wind. Your knees weaken. You steady yourself against a column, tracing the veins of the red sandstone as if they could anchor you in today. But no anchor holds. The air is too thick, the sunlight too heavy, the rhythm of footsteps too familiar. You are walking inside yesterday, even as the day insists on being new. And then, for the first time, you feel fear not of the mirror itself, but of yourself. What if you are not truly here? What if you are nothing more than yesterday's reflection, wandering outside its frame? The thought clings like wet cloth. You return to the chamber, desperate for clarity. The mirror greets you coldly, offering no answer. You watch as yesterday's self steps inside the beat after you do, mirroring your confusion with an expression you did not intend. You whisper, "Who am I?" But the reflection mouths the same words a breath too late, leaving you no wiser. The oil lamp flickers again. The chamber darkens, even though outside the sun is rising. You realize you have not eaten, not truly slept, not moved freely since the mirror claimed you. Each action is a rehearsal for what has already been, never for what is to come. You sit once more before the silver surface. You place your hand flat against it. This time, when yesterday's hand presses back, you feel warm through the cold. Your skin prickles. Perhaps the mirror does not simply show the past. Perhaps it feeds on it, drinks from it, blurring the line between memory and flesh. The air grows heavier. You think of the historian's words, faithfulness as cruelty, and you understand that to live in yesterday is to be slowly erased by it. The mirror is not a tool of power. It is a punishment, a reminder that the empire, no matter how vast, no matter how gilded, cannot escape the burden of its own yesterdays. The lamp sputters once more, and darkness swallows the chamber. You cannot tell if you are still awake or if yesterday has claimed you completely. The morning grows, though you cannot tell if it belongs to today or if you are still walking through yesterday's shadow. The air in the chamber is heavy, pressing against your chest, but hunger drives you once again beyond the mirror's pull. You step into the palace corridors, their arches glowing with soft amber light. Every surface seems alive, the sandstone sweating in the sun, the marble floors breathing coolness beneath your soles. The courtyards whispering with the sweep of brooms, the smell of food drifts from the kitchens, lentils simmering slowly in copper pots, the sharp edge of pickled mango, the sweetness of milk boiling with saffron until its golden skin puckers. Your body stirs at the scents, your stomach knots, yet you hesitate. To eat would mean admitting this day is real. To resist would mean surrendering to yesterday's hunger. The hunger of memory. You follow the sound of clay vessels clinking, of knives striking wood. The kitchen is alive with motion. Women in plain cotton saris roll out rounds of dough, their hands moving so quickly the flour rises like a hailstorm. Boys pump the bellows, feeding fire into the great clay tandoor. Sparks leap and vanish, like stars dying in silence. Someone ladles water from a brass pot into your palms, and you drink greedily, the cool liquid sliding down your throat with a relief so sharp it almost hurts. But even here, In this most human of places, the shadow of yesterday lingers. You notice how the cook repeats the same motions you saw when you first awoke. The rolling of the dough, the flick of the wrist, the careful placement of bread on the tandoor's wallet is all familiar. Too familiar. You realize with a shiver that you are not just watching cooking. You are watching yesterday's meal being prepared again, destined to vanish before it ever belongs to you. A servant presses a plate into your hands, warm, non-glistening with ghee. A small bowl of spiced lentils, a slice of melon whose flesh glows like amber in the morning light. The taste is rich, earthy, grounding. For a fleeting moment you think perhaps the mirror has loosened its grip. But as you swallow, you feel a strange doubling, the sensation of having eaten this very bite before, not in memory but in repetition. The food nourishes you, yet leaves you hungrier still, as if you are feeding not yourself but the reflection trapped in silver. You retreat quickly, unable to bear the weight of it. The palace halls stretch before you, endless and echoing. You walk past courtyards where children play with marbles, their laughter piercing the air like bright bells. Yet their games unfold with eerie precision, the same toss, the same cry, the same fall of a marble onto stone. You know you have seen it before, though not here, not now. Yesterday's thread weaves itself through every sound, every gesture, every breath. By noon, the heat presses down like a hand. The air thickens, shimmering above the courtyards. You seek shade beneath a cluster of neem trees, their leaves trembling with the faintest wind. Beyond the trees stretches the great garden, its paths laid out in perfect symmetry, water channels glinting like liquid glass. The scent of jasmine and camphor drifts through the air, though it, too, carries a repetition. As though the same breeze has been blowing for centuries, you wander the garden's pots, tracing the call of fountains. The water leaps and falls, clear as crystal. Yet when you bend to drink from a channel, you see yesterday's reflection ripple across its surface. The face staring back is tired, heavier, marked by the weight of what has already passed. You splash the water, desperate to erase it. But the reflection reforms, faithful as ever. Under a cypress tree you sit, letting the shade wrap you like a cloak. You close your eyes, but rest does not come. Instead, you hear the whisper of the historian's words. Faithfulness is cruelty. The mirror may stand in its chamber, but its grip stretches across the empire. You begin to understand that survival here does not mean food, or water, or shelter. Survival means enduring yesterday's repetition without losing yourself inside it. The sound of approaching steps pulls you back. A woman in fine silk appears, her anklets shimmering softly. Her veil is light, translucent, but her face remains partly hidden. She pauses beneath the cypress, looking at you with eyes that seem older than her body. "You do not belong here," she says softly, though her tone is not cruel. "The mirror has chosen you, but it will not spare you." You ask who she is, but she does not answer. Instead, she kneels by the water channel, dipping her fingers into the flow. The ripples distort her reflection, and for a moment you glimpse her as she was yesterday, standing tall, unbroken, a figure of power. Then the ripples fade, and only today's weary form remains. She withdraws her hand and rises, her veil slipping slightly in the breeze. Before you can speak again, she is gone, her anklets fading into silence. The sun leans westward, stretching shadows across the garden. You feel the weight of the day pressing harder, as though it resents your attempts to claim it as your own. You return slowly to the chamber of the mirror, your body heavy, your spirit heavier. Inside, the air is cooler, darker. The oil lamp has been relit, its flame steady now, casting a golden glow across the silver surface. You approach cautiously, though you know resistance is futile. The mirror waits, as faithful as the historian promised, as cruel as the woman warned. You stare into its depths, Yesterday stares back, patient, relentless. You see yourself walking through the garden, sitting beneath the cypress, meeting the veiled woman. You watch the sequence unfold, each moment repeated, each gesture slightly delayed. The mirror offers no correction, no future, only the burden of watching yourself live a day you cannot change. Your knees give way, and you sink before the glass. You rest your forehead against its cold surface, letting the chill numb your skin. The reflection follows, pressing back with the same weariness. For the first time, you feel tears sting your eyes not for what the mirror shows, but for what it will never show tomorrow. Hope, escape. The lamp flickers, and the chamber grows dim again. You close your eyes, but yesterday does not release you. It never will. The night comes softly, slipping over the palace like a silk veil, though it feels less like a new night and more like yesterday's shadows stretched thin. The stars prick the sky with their cold light, scattered across the heavens like spilled pearls. Yet as you look upward, you sense even they are not quite alive. They shine with the memory of their glow, not their present fire. The courtyards grew quiet, their echoing corridors settling into silence. The laughter of children fades, the shuffle of servants vanishes, the clang of cooking vessels grows faint. Only the whisper of the wind remains, and even it seems weary, repeating a sigh it has carried for centuries. You walk slowly, your feet brushing marble tiles still warm from the sun, your body heavy from the day's endless repetition. You wonder if sleep might bring release. But you have already learned that rest here is never simple. Sleep is just another surface upon which yesterday presses its mark. You enter a smaller chamber lined with carpets, their threads shimmering with woven flowers, their patterns curling like vines across the floor. You lie down, your head against a pillow embroidered with faded gold, and you let your body surrender to stillness. For a moment, there is peace. Then the dream arrives. You are once again in the chamber of the mirror, though the lamp burns brighter now, filling the room with a trembling glow. The mirror is vast, larger than you remember, stretching from floor to ceiling like a wall of silver. You step closer, drawn by a pulse deep within its surface, and there reflected faintly you see not yourself, but the emperor. His form is tall, robed in silk that glimmers like molten bronze, his beard flowing like ink. His eyes do not meet yours. They gaze only into the distance of his own yesterday. He speaks, though his lips never move. The voice echoes from everywhere and nowhere at once. All rulers live in yesterday. Power is not the command of today, nor the promise of tomorrow. Power is the memory others repeat when they look upon you. You tremble, unsure if your address or merely overhearing a confession meant for the silver. The emperor turns then, and for a breathless instant his eyes lock with yours. In them you see exhaustion, the exhaustion of 1,000 tomorrows denied. Then he vanishes, dissolving into the mirrored surface like smoke swallowed by wind. You wake with a start, your body slick with sweat, your heart pounding. The room is quiet, yet the echo of his voice still vibrates in your bones. You rise quickly, unable to linger in the comfort of sleep, and you return to the palace corridors. The moonlight spills across marble, painting long silver rivers upon the floors. You follow them instinctively, letting the pale glow guide you deeper into the palace. Soon you find yourself before a door you have not seen before. It is carved of dark teak, inlaid with ivory patterns that spiral like stars. You press it open and step into a hidden courtyard. Here, the air is cooler, perfumed with night-blooming flowers, wrought Kirani, their fragrance heavy and intoxicating. In the center stands a pool, still as glass, its surface unbroken by ripple or wind. The moon reflects perfectly upon it, a second sky resting quietly at your feet. You lean over and see your face, though not today's, not even yesterday's, but something older, something more worn. The reflection looks at you with tired recognition, as if it has been waiting for you. Your throat tightens. You whisper to it, though you know it cannot reply. You ask what you are meant to do, how you can step free of this circle of repetition. The water trembles faintly, stirred by a breeze you cannot feel. The reflection's lips part, and though no sound reaches you, you understand. There is no escape through denial. Only through surrender dot the words sink like stones in your chest. You sit by the pool, watching the moon's reflection stretch and fracture as insects skim its surface. Hours pass, or perhaps yesterday's hours only reappear, and you remain trapped in the quiet weight of waiting. At last you rise. The palace is still, its walls breathing with the soft hum of silence. You walk back through the corridors, your steps hollow, your shadow stretching thin. At the threshold of the mirror's chamber, you pause. The oil lamp flickers, as though it too struggles against exhaustion. You step inside. The mirror greets you, faithful, cruel. Its silver gleam holds no surprises now. You see yourself approaching, just as you have done before, just as you will do again. The reflection leans toward you, whispering without sound, repeating words you have already spoken. You touch the surface, and it touches back, warm now instead of cold, alive with the pulse of yesterday's endless return. And in that moment, you understand the Emperor's words more fully. Perhaps the mirror does not trap you. Perhaps it reveals what you have always been, a memory repeating itself. A yesterday carried endlessly forward. The lamp dims once more. The silver fades to shadow, and you close your eyes. The night presses close, heavy, timeless. The dawn comes slowly, heavy as if reluctant to rise. Light seeps into the palace not with joy but with resignation, as though even the sun itself must repeat yesterday's duties. You open your eyes and feel the weight of familiarity pressing before you have even moved. The air is cool, the marble beneath your hands smooth, the distant sound of pigeons fluttering in the courtyard exactly as you heard it before. You rise, weary yet compelled, and begin your walk. The palace is waking, but not waking new. Servants sweep with the same strokes, their brooms whispering across the same patterns of dust. Guards shift at their posts, their spears gleaming in the same angle of light. Every corridor you step into feels already worn by your tread, as though your footprints arrived before you. The hunger from yesterday has not left. It lingers, restless, demanding to be fed again, though no meal can fill it. You make your way to the kitchens, passing the carved arches and the flutter of colorful parrots tethered in their cages. Their cries are sharp, their wings beating, but even they seem rehearsed, echoing a song you cannot escape. Inside the kitchen, the rhythm unfolds once more. Bread rolled, lentils stirred, fire coaxed into glowing life. A plate is handed to you, the same as before, non-slick with ghee, lentils steaming with spice, fruit cut into shining slices. You eat, though the taste is doubled, yesterday's flavor mingled with today's, until both dissolve into something numb. When you leave, the air is already warming. You walk through the gardens again, their symmetry beautiful, their fountains singing in repeating octaves. The flowers nod gently in the breeze, their fragrance rising, familiar and relentless. You pause by the cypress tree, unable to resist the pull of its shadow. There, upon the stone bench, you sit once more, as if the place has been carved not from marble but from memory. The veiled woman appears again, her anklets chiming softly. She walks the path with the same grace, each step a careful echo. When she draws near, you see the sadness in her eyes deepen. She does not speak this time. She simply looks at you, as though she knows you will not remember tomorrow, because there is no tomorrow to hold. Then, with a bow of her head, she vanishes once more, her presence dissolved into the folds of repetition. You lean forward, pressing your face into your hands. The garden hums with life, yet you feel as though you are drowning in its silence. The historian's words return unbidden, faithful, but cruel. You wonder if the cruelty lies not in the mirror itself, but in your own refusal to accept what it shows. As the sun reaches its height, the heat forces you back inside. The palace corridors feel longer now, stretching like tunnels of time, carrying you deeper into the inevitability of yesterday. You pass rooms filled with courtiers speaking in hushed tones, scribes scratching lines of ink across parchment, guards polishing their swords with exacting care. No one looks at you. No one needs to. You are already part of their repetition. By evening, the air cools again. The sky feeds into a burnished gold, then into the violet hush of twilight. You find yourself drawn once more to the hidden courtyard of the pool. The moon has risen early, its reflection already waiting upon the water. You sit beside it, gazing into the stillness, and see your face staring back not as you are now, but as you were yesterday, and the day before, and perhaps the day before that. You whisper to the water, asking if there is an end, if the mirror will ever release you. The reflection's mouth moves, echoing your words, but offers no answer. You reach to touch the surface, and the ripples scatter the image into fragments of silver light. Yet when the water calms, the face reforms, unchanged, eternal. Night deepens, heavy and absolute. You return at last to the chamber of the mirror. The lamp burns low, its flame swaying as if tired of its own entrance. You stand before the silver surface, unable to resist and willing to flee. The reflection greets you patiently. It shows you your walk through the gardens, your meeting with the veiled woman, your vigil by the pool. Every motion returned, every arm mirrored, every breath carried backward into the vault of yesterday. You press your palm against the glass. The reflection presses back. For a moment, warmth flows between you, as if the mirror itself is alive, holding you in its memory. Then the flame flickers, the chamber dims, and you understand with painful clarity. Tomorrow does not exist here. There is only the faithful cruelty of yesterday, stretched into forever. You close your eyes, the weight of repetition pressing upon you like stone. Sleep comes slowly, not as relief, but as surrender. The night has passed, though you cannot tell where it ended and where it began again. The air feels heavy, as if time itself presses down upon you, unwilling to let you rise into something new. You wake with the same ache in your chest, the same tiredness in your bones. The room is dim, shadows stretching along the carved walls. The flame in the lamp trembles, weary but steady. As though even fire has learned the discipline of repetition, you rise slowly, your steps carrying you not forward, but inward, deeper into yourself. Each sound is dulled, each color muted, and still everything rises exactly as it did before. You hear the clink of anklets in the corridor, the shuffle of servants moving through their duties, the faint ringing of the morning bell. None of it surprises you. None of it belongs to today. Your heart beats faster, a rebellion within your chest. You whisper to yourself, perhaps there is still some hidden thread, some escape, some doorway that the mirror has not locked. But when you lift your gaze, you find only the same corridor stretching, the same arches curving overhead, the same scent of rose water spilling faintly through the air. In the gardens, light pours across the fountains, making them glitter like lines of silver. The sound of water is soothing, but it is also cruel, for it is the same note, the same chord played endlessly. The birds swoop through the air, their wings casting brief shadows across the marble path. A peacock cries from the far end, and you know the sound before it even reaches your ears. The veiled woman appears again, though now her presence feels heavier, her silence deeper. She walks slowly, her head bowed, her hands folded in front of her. When she looks at you, it is with an intensity that makes your chest tighten. You feel as though she knows your thoughts, your despair, your struggle to believe in a tomorrow that will not come. She opens her mouth, but no words arrive. Her lips tremble as if shaping a name, and then she turns, disappearing into the shade of the cypress. You follow, desperate. But when you reach the spot where she should be, you find nothing but stone and grass, the air thick with the scent of jasmine. You sink onto the bench, your head bowed. The thought coils within you. Perhaps you are not meant to escape. Perhaps the mirror has not trapped you against your will, but has only revealed the truth that you were always a prisoner of yesterday. Your chest aches. The silence is no longer soothing, but suffocating. You imagine yourself calling out, screaming, breaking the air with your defiance. But the thought dies before it can form. The weight of centuries presses down upon you, pressing your voice back into your throat. When you return to the palace halls, the walls seem taller, the doors narrower. The courtiers' voices rise and fall in the same rehearsed tones, petitions read aloud, judgments handed down with calm finality. The emperor's presence looms behind veils of incense and silk, but you cannot see him. You only hear the rustle of attendants, the sharp scratch of the royal pen across parchment, the low murmur of decisions already made yesterday. The hours blur. Afternoon passes into evening, as though no passage occurred. You walk through the bazaar again, though the bazaar no longer feels alive. Merchants cry the same prices, the same praises of their goods, the same oaths sworn by their ancestors. A boy rushes past you, laughing, his wooden toy clattering against the stone. You remember the sound, because you have heard it before. The moment folds in upon itself, carrying you back instead of forward by dusk. Your breath feels shallow, your body heavy. The weight of the mirror presses not only on your memory, but on your very skin, as if you are dissolving into its silver. You wander to the hidden pool once more, the moon's reflection already waiting. The water is cool, the air scented with night-blooming jasmine. You kneel by the edge, staring into the surface that your reflection meets you again. But this time it does not look like you. Its eyes are darker, its face wearier, its silence louder. You reach out a hand, trembling, and the reflection mirrors it exactly. The water shivers beneath your touch, but the image remains, steady and unbroken. Your mind whispers, what if you are not living at all? What if you are only being remembered? The thought chills you, slipping deep into your chest. You close your eyes, listening to the silence of the pool, the faint rustle of leaves, the hush of the night. And in that silence, you realize you are speaking inwardly, not outwardly. You are begging not for release, but for acceptance. The night grows heavy. Stars scatter across the sky, unmoving and caring. You rise at last and return to the mirror chamber. The lamp flickers weakly, shadows crawling across the walls. You stand before the silver surface, your reflection waiting faithfully. It shows you everything you have done, everything you will do, everything you cannot escape. You lean closer until your forehead touches the cold glass. A single tear falls, slipping down your cheek, leaving no trace on the mirror's surface. You whisper into the silence, if this is all I am meant to be, then let me learn to breathe inside it. The reflection nods, faintly, as though in agreement. And in that moment, though nothing has changed, you feel a thread of stillness, a fragile acceptance curling through your chest. You close your eyes, surrendering again to sleep. Carrying yesterday with you into tomorrow's yesterday, the morning begins with silence. But it is not a comforting silence anymore. It is heavy, almost accusing, as though every stone in the palace has grown tired of holding the same memory. You open your eyes and feel as if the walls are watching, waiting to see whether you will once again follow the same path, speak the same words, make the same mistakes. You rise, slower this time. The air feels colder though the season has not changed. Perhaps it is not the world but your own heart that has chilled. Servants pass in the corridor, their eyes lowered, their gestures mechanical. You hear the faint rustle of silks, the scrape of sandals on marble, the hollow echo of yesterday returning. Today, or what you call today, brings no peace. A tension hangs in the air, a pressure that makes your chest ache. Whispers ripple through the halls. Courtiers gather more closely, their voices hushed but urgent. The emperor is restless, they say. Decisions must be made, punishments delivered, loyalty tested. You walk through the corridors, past archways heavy with latticework, and the weight of choice presses upon you. You remember this moment, for you have lived it before, the question of obedience or defiance. You know the outcome, and yet it feels sharper now, more dangerous, as if the mirror itself demands the reckoning dot in the courtyard. Soldiers assemble, their armor glinting in the light, their spears held upright. Their faces are stern and readable. The veiled woman stands at the edge of the gathering, her hands clasped, her gaze steady upon you. She seems to plead silently. Though no sound escapes her lips, a herald steps forward, unrolling a scroll, his voice carrying across the stones. Names are read aloud, charges declared, one by one. Men are summoned, accused of betrayal, of disobedience, of breaking faith with the throne. The punishments are swift, cruel, echoing against the marble. The crowd shifts uneasily, each person knowing that tomorrow or yesterday it could be their name called. Your pulse quickens. The herald's voice pauses, and for a moment silence fills the courtyard. Then your name is spoken. It is not a surprise. You knew it would come, as it has come before. But still, the sound pierces you, sharp as steel. The emperor's gaze is hidden behind veils of incense, but you feel it burn into your skin. The choice stands before you. Bow your head in obedience, or lift it in defiance. Either way, you know the mirror will show you the same reflection tomorrow. You step forward, your legs trembling, your heart pounding. The soldiers shift, their spears lowering slightly. The courtiers lean closer, their whispers swelling. The veiled woman's eyes are wide, filled with sorrow, urging you silently to choose carefully. You breathe deeply, the air heavy with rose water and dust, and speak. Your voice is soft, yet it carries through the courtyard. You say what you have always said, what the mirror has always shown, that you are loyal, that you are faithful, that you submit. The words taste bitter on your tongue, yet they fall with the inevitability of rain. The emperor does not answer. The herald nods, the scroll is rolled. The soldiers step back. The moment dissolves, slipping into the folds of yesterday. You are spared for now, but the weight of surrender settles upon your shoulders, heavier than chains. You leave the courtyard, your steps unsteady. The veiled woman follows at a distance, her silence louder than any accusation. When you reach the garden, she comes closer, her hand lifting as if to touch your arm. But she stops, her fingers trembling in the air, and whispers a single word. Why? You cannot answer. Your throat is tight, your heart breaking. You walk away, unable to face her grief, unable to face your own reflection. The day drags on. Each moment repeats, each sound returns, each shadow falls exactly as it did before. But within you, something cracks. The mirror has shown you yesterday again, but now it feels unbearable. You wonder if defiance would have freed you, or if it would only have bound you more tightly. By evening, the pool calls to you once more. The moon glows upon its surface, serene and eternal. You kneel beside it, staring into the silver reflection. Your face stares back, tired, broken, and certain. The water shivers as if moved by unseen breath, and for a moment, you think you hear a voice whispering from within. You are not only yesterday. You are the choice that repeats. You reach toward the water, your hand trembling, your heart desperate. But before your fingers touch, the reflection shifts. You see not yourself, but the emperor, his gaze burning, his voice silent yet commanding. Then the image dissolves, leaving only ripples and moonlight. The night deepens. You return to the mirror chamber once more, your body weary, your soul frayed. The silver surface glows faintly in the lamplight, waiting patiently, faithfully. You stand before it, your reflection watching, its eyes filled with sorrow and accusation. You whisper to it, "What do you want from me?" The reflection does not answer. It only shows you yesterday, again and again, as though nothing else could ever exist. You press your palms against the glass, your breath fogging the surface. You feel as though you might break, shatter into pieces, dissolve into the mirror's endless memory. Tears blur your vision, dripping onto the stone floor. At last, your strength falters. You sink to your knees, your forehead resting against the cold glass. The mirror holds you silently, its faithfulness unyielding, its cruelty absolute. You close your eyes, surrendering once more, knowing that tomorrow will be yesterday, and yesterday will never end. The morning feels heavier than before, as though the palace itself has grown tired of carrying your footsteps. You rise slowly, your body weary, your spirit frayed, but still the cycle pulls you forward. The corridors echo with the same sounds, the clink of vessels, the murmur of servants, the shuffle of guards, and yet each echo feels sharper, more piercing, as if repetition itself has grown teeth. Today the bazaar calls you, not with joy but with a strange insistence. You walk through the archway that leads beyond the palace, into the narrow streets where the air swirls with spice, dust, and human voices. The market stalls are overflowing with goods, silks dyed in saffron and indigo, brass vessels gleaming like captured suns, baskets of mangoes spilling their sweet fragrance into the air. Yet nothing feels new. Each merchant cries the same words. Each hand gesture is repeated. Each bargain is an echo of what has already been. You stop before a stall selling copper mirrors. They are small, simple, polished with care. The merchant smiles, lifting one to catch the light. The reflection it shows is dull, distorted, ordinary, and yet it frightens you. For in that shimmer of copper you see not yourself, but yesterday's self, worn thin by repetition. You step back quickly, shaking your head, and the merchant frowns, lowering his wares. Children run past you, their laughter ringing like bells, but the sound feels hollow. A beggar reaches out his hand, his voice rough, his plea familiar. You give him a coin, and he blesses you with the same blessing he gave before, the same tone, the same weary smile. You wonder if he, too, is trapped in this endless circle, condemned to repeat his hunger for eternity. Further along, the blacksmith's hammer strikes the anvil, sparks leaping into the air. The rhythm is steady, relentless, each strike echoing like the heartbeat of yesterday. A woman sells spices, her fingers stained crimson from saffron threads. She scoops a measure into a pouch, her motions precise, practiced, eternal. The scent rises sharp, golden, intoxicating, and for a moment you feel dizzy. As though drowning in time, you wander deeper into the bazaar, past jewelers stringing pearls, past calligraphers bending over parchment, past musicians coaxing weary notes from sitars. Every sound, every gesture, every shimmer of color is bound by the same thread of inevitability. You realize then that even commerce is not free coins passed from one hand to another, but always in the same arc, always repeating, always yesterday. As the sun climbs higher, the heat presses down, sweat clings to your skin, dust settles on your clothes, and the crowd thickens until it feels as though you are suffocating. You stumble into a shaded alley, where silence falls heavy. There, you find the veiled woman again. She leans against the wall, her eyes shadowed, her breath shallow. She looks at you as though she has waited centuries for you to arrive. She lifts a bundle from her hands and places it before you. Wrapped in coarse cloth, tied with faded string. It feels heavy when you take it. You untie it slowly, your fingers trembling, and find inside a single object, a shard of glass, no larger than your palm. Its surface gleams faintly in the dim light, reflecting your face, but only as it was yesterday. Her voice breaks the silence, soft but steady. It is not only the great mirror that binds you. Even the smallest shard remembers. You stare at her, your chest tightening. "Why show me this?" you whisper. "Because you must understand," she replies. The mirror does not trap you. It reflects what you refuse to release. Before you can answer, she turns and disappears into the crowd, leaving you clutching the shard, your breath uneven. You wrap it quickly and hide it in your robe, but you feel its weight pressing against your side as though it is alive. By evening, you return to the palace. The bazaar's noise fades behind you, replaced by the measured rhythm of palace life. Servants light the lamps, their flames flickering against marble walls. Incense drifts through the air, carrying the scent of sandalwood and ash. The halls glow with golden light, yet everything feels dimmed by the shard hidden at your side. You walk to the hidden pool once more, the moon already high above. You kneel by the water, unwrapping the shard, and hold it over the surface. The reflection that looks back is strange, your face on the water, your face on the glass, both yesterdays, both unyielding. You feel trapped between them, unable to breathe, unable to move. The shard trembles in your hand, or perhaps your hand trembles round it. You consider throwing it into the water, letting it sink into silence. But you cannot. Something in you clings to it, as though it carries not only memory but truth. The night deepens, shadows stretching long. You return at last to the chamber of the great mirror. The shard burns cold against your side, heavy as stone. The mirror greets you silently, its silver surface glowing faintly in the lamplight. You stand before it, your heart pounding, your breath shallow. You lift the shard and hold it toward the great mirror. For a moment, the two reflections meet, merging, multiplying. Your image fractures into countless echoes, each one a yesterday, each one a shadow of yourself. The sight overwhelms you, your knees weakening, your eyes burning with tears. You lower the shard, unable to endure it. You hide it once more, pressing it close to your chest. The mirror stands unchanged, patient, eternal. It needs no shards, no fragments. It already contains everything you are, everything you have been, everything you will repeat. You whisper to it, "How many yesterdays must I endure?" The mirror offers no answer, only silence, only reflection. You sink to the floor, clutching the shard, your head bowed. The night folds round you, heavy and endless. You thought you already knew this world. You believed you had seen its palaces, its gardens, its rituals, its laws. But tonight, something shifts. The mirror, once only showing yesterday, begins to whisper truths that no painter would dare to capture, no chronicler would dare to record. You stand before it again, the same silver surface, but your reflection is no longer yours alone. It is crowded with scenes. You see the emperor at dawn, stooped over, not majestic but weary. His robes look heavy, his breath uneven. The world outside believes in endless power, but the mirror insists on reminding new power ages to dot. They tell you the Mule Court is a realm of perfection. Stories pass to you, like honey dripping from one tongue to another, assure you that the halls of Agra and Delhi are places of grandeur without blemish. But the mirror insists otherwise. It shows sweat beading on the brow of a calligrapher as his ink blotches ruin a priceless decree. It shows cooks fighting over saffron in the royal kitchen, their whispers sharp as knives. It shows guards bribed with a single silver coin, their loyalty shifting with the shadows, and then you realize the truth myths were meant to protect you from disappointment. not. Myths smoothed the roughness of history so you could fall asleep easier. But the mirror will not allow illusions tonight. The world of marble is cracked. The lotus pond is filled not only with blossoms, but with mosquitoes. The gardens smell sweet, yes, but they also carry the scent of dung from hidden stables. The emperor himself is not untouchable. He too coughs. He too sweats. He too fears, and you thought you belonged in this world because it shimmered. But here, in the reflection, you are reminded that shimmer is only surface. Beneath it, silence aches. Beneath it, people bend under the weight of rules, of hunger, of belief. The court poet recites verses of paradise, but the mirror reveals that he sometimes forgets his own lines. The court painter shows eternal beauty, but his fingers tremble as arthritis begins to take them. The nobleman struts across the courtyard, but his stomach churns because his food was not cooked cleanly. It is all real. And yet, does that make it less beautiful? The mirror insists on a lesson. It whispers again. Yesterday is never as perfect as the stories say. You breathe in the cool night air. You hear the low hum of the Zenana beyond the walls, the faint sound of anklets moving in slow circles. You hear a guard cough against the marble archway. You hear a pigeon flutter out of the jarka, scattering feathers into the dark. Every sound, every imperfection, is part of the truth, and you realize reality is heavier than myth. But it is also softer to know that even emperors stumble, even saints doubt, even artists falter. Somehow this comforts you. You are no longer outside the story, dreaming of perfection. You are inside it, walking through its uneven stones. The mirror glows once more before dimming into silence. And as it fades, you carry the memory of what it has shown. Not the myth, not the story painted on flawless paper, but the truth, fragile, human, and endlessly alive. The evening falls slowly, dragging the last slivers of light across the palace walls. You walk through corridors that are at once familiar and strange, as if each step has been repeated so often it remembers you before you even arrive. The marble floors are cool beneath your feet, yet even they feel like yesterday's echo, pressed into permanence by the weight of countless footsteps. You pause at a window, looking out over the gardens. The fountains shimmer in the fading light, their droplets catching the gold of the sun's last rays. You can hear the whisper of the cypress trees, the low rustle of night-blooming flowers. And yet, beneath the beauty, you sense the subtle cruelty of reality. Petals bruised, insects skittering unseen, water murky beneath its reflective surface. Perfection is always an illusion. A soft footstep startles you. The veiled woman appears beside the fountain. She does not speak, but her eyes search yours, urging you to understand the lesson you have been avoiding. You remember the shards, the mirror, the endless repetition of yesterday. All of it has led to this moment, this quiet reckoning in the soft gold of twilight. You kneel beside her, tracing a finger along the edge of the fountain. The water reflects not only the moon, already rising in silver rocks, but fragments of your own reflection, multiplied by shards of memory. You feel time folding in on itself. The past is not behind you, it is beneath you, round you, inside you. And the mirror has been your teacher, showing that yesterday is not gone. It is ever present, a shadow that walks beside every step you take. The veiled woman finally speaks, her voice a whisper that threads through the rustle of leaves. This day will echo through time, she says, not because of power, not because of wealth, not because of the palace or the emperor, but because you have seen it. You have felt it. You carry it forward. Her words settle on your chest, heavy, yet strange with release. You realize she is right. The mirror's cruelty is also its gift. It has shown you the weight of history, the truth beneath myth, the fragility of human life. And now, understanding, you feel a shift. The reflection in the water is no longer only yesterday. It is memory, lesson, and perhaps, just perhaps, possibility. You rise, brushing dust from your robe. The moonlight glances across the marble corridors as you walk back toward the hidden chamber of the mirror. Each step feels lighter, though the mirror waits patiently, as it always has. You stand before it, your breath slow, your mind quiet, and you see your reflection not only as the person who has endured countless yesterdays, but as someone who carries the weight of understanding for a long time. You do nothing but stare. Then, slowly, you reach toward the glass. Your fingers touch its surface, warm from your own touch. You press closer, and in that pressure, you feel an echo of the past respond, a subtle tremor, a hint that memory, when acknowledged, can become something more. The palace hums round you, lamps flickering in silent rhythm. You hear distant voices, the clatter of utensils, the shuffle of slippers on stone floors. Each sound is familiar, yet you notice it now. You notice it because you have lived it, because the mirror has taught you to see beyond the myth, beyond the illusion, and in the quiet of that recognition, a thought settles in your mind. Perhaps history is not only what was done, or what was said, or what was painted in gold and ink. Perhaps it is also what is felt, what is witnessed, what is carried silently in the hearts of those who live it. The moon rises higher, casting silver across the marble floors. You close your eyes for a moment, inhaling the scent of incense and night flowers. You imagine the emperor walking through the halls, exhausted, human, imperfect. You imagine the calligrapher's trembling hand, the poet's faltering verse, the servant's quiet labor, and you feel connected, part of the eternal rhythm of life within the palace, neither above it nor below it, simply present. The veiled woman appears again. Standing in the shadows near the chamber door, she nods once, faintly, approvingly, and then is gone, leaving only the soft echo of her presence. You know now that the mirror has completed its lesson. It will show you yesterday again tomorrow, perhaps, but you are changed. Your steps carry memory, understanding, a quiet awareness that yesterday need not dominate all of tomorrow. You lean closer to the glass one final time tonight, tracing your reflection with a finger. The silver responds, still, eternal. You whisper softly, almost to yourself, I have seen it, I have learned, and in that silence, the chamber breathes with you. The lamp flickers, shadows settle, and the night stretches wide and still. The night is deep, and the palace breathes in soft, measured rhythms. You move slowly through the corridors, your steps muted against the marble floors, carrying the weight of all that you have seen, all that you have learned. The lamps flicker in pools of gold, casting shadows that sway gently like dancers caught mid-motion. Each shadow seems familiar, yet new, as though yesterday has softened into memory. You walk past the Zenana, where the women move with quiet grace. Their anklets chime faintly, like a song remembered from a dream. You pause listening. Their whispers are like silk brushing against stone, delicate and full of history. They speak not to you, yet they are as thick with their presence. You feel both apart and included, a silent observer in a world that has repeated itself endlessly, and yet has also changed in the subtle heartbeat of tonight. The gardens call you next. Moonlight glimmers across the fountains, silver spilling over marble edges. The flowers nod in the gentle breeze, their fragrance rising like a memory carried on the wind. You sit by the pool, letting the water mirror the sky above, letting its surface absorb the last traces of the day. And for the first time, you notice the subtle imperfections, the petals that droop, the leaves that have browned, the slight ripple that distorts your reflection. The beauty of yesterday has softened, tempered by truth. You close your eyes, listening to the hum of the night, crickets, distant voices, the rustle of silk and leaves, the soft clink of utensils far away. Each sound carries a history. Each note vibrates with the weight of countless yesterdays. But tonight it feels gentle, almost forgiving. You remember the shard you carried from the bazaar, tucked safely in your robe. Carefully, you remove it, placing it into the pool. The water accepts it without a ripple, a quiet companion joining the reflections of moonlight and memory. For a moment, you think you see your face merge with it, yesterday and today intertwined. A bridge between repetition and presence. The veiled woman appears once more. Standing at the edge of the garden, she does not speak, only watches. Her eyes are patient, understanding, and in them you read the truth you have come to accept. Life is not only repetition, not only mirror. It is also pause, observation, reflection. It is knowing the weight of yesterday, and still choosing to breathe into tonight. You stand, letting your hands trail through the water, sending gentle ripples across the surface. The shard remains still, floating silently, a reminder of the small choices that echo beyond comprehension. The garden itself seems to lean closer, the fountain singing softer now, the flowers nodding in solemn rhythm. The palace hums in harmony with your own heartbeat. The corridors, the lamps, the distant voices all are softer now. They do not demand, they observe, and for the first time, you feel the quiet pleasure of being present, of existing within a living history without being consumed by it. You return to the mirror chamber at last. The great silver surface greets you not with judgment, not with cruelty, but with patience. You touch it lightly, tracing your reflection, feeling the echoes of yesterday soften under your hand. You whisper, almost shyly, I am here. I remember. I am present. The lamp flickers once, then steadies. The shadows on the wall sway gently, as if dancing with a rhythm only they understand. You kneel beside the mirror, resting your forehead against its cold surface, and in that quiet surrender, sleep begins to come not as a necessity, not as escape, but as gentle continuation. The mirror will show yesterday again tomorrow, perhaps, but tonight you have found peace. You close your eyes fully, letting the air of the chamber cradle you. The shard floats silently in its pool. The veiled woman's presence lingers in the hush of the garden, and the palace itself seems to exhale, carrying you into the soft embrace of night. The palace is quiet now. Even the lamps seem to breathe in unison, their flames flickering softly as if aware of the night's stillness. You walk slowly through the corridors, your footsteps nearly soundless against the cool marble. The scent of incense lingers, gentle and persistent, curling through the air like a whisper of memory. You feel the weight of all the yesterdays pressing softly around you, not as chains, but as a delicate cloak of history you can wear without being crushed. You pass the Zenana, hearing faint laughter, soft songs, the low murmur of voices exchanging secrets that will never leave these walls. You pause and watch, your breath steady. You realize that life continues in these subtle currents. The women's whispered stories, the quiet devotion of the servants, the laughter of children playing unseen. Even in repetition, there is motion, there is life. The gardens are moonlit, fountains reflecting silver arcs into the sky. The flowers sway gently in the night breeze, petals brushing together with a sound like a sigh. You kneel beside the hidden pool, letting your hand skim the surface. The water is still, yet alive with reflections of moon, marble, and memory. You see yourself there, carried by all the yesterdays, yet softened by presence. The shard floats quietly nearby, stilling the ripples you make. You touch it gently and feel a warmth, subtle but real. It reminds you that even the smallest objects hold memory, and that memory can be gentle, guiding, teaching rather than confining. You close your eyes, letting the stillness of the night fill you, letting your breath match the rhythm of the palace. The mirror waits, patient and unchanging. You approach it, standing before the silver surface one final time. You do not expect revelations now. You do not demand answers. You see only yourself, weary, human, present. You see the weight of history reflected not as burden, but as witness. You whisper softly, I have lived it. I have learned. I have seen the truth beyond the myths. The palace seems to lean closer, listening. The lamp flames dance in agreement. The shadows sway as if nodding. The marble floors echo softly beneath your feet. The veiled woman appears one last time, standing silently near the doorway. She inclines her head in acknowledgement and slowly steps back, dissolving into shadow. You know she will always be there in memory, a quiet guide across the repetition of yesterdays. You settle to the floor beside the mirror, your forehead resting lightly against its cold surface. The reflection shimmer, carrying the weight of all you have witnessed. And you understand now that history is not only in empires and courts, not only in wealth and marble, but in presence, observation and memory. You have been a part of it, silent yet alive, walking the corridors of yesterday while holding your breath in today. You let sleep come, not in fear, not in surrender, but in gentle acknowledgement. The mirror shows yesterday once more, but it no longer frightens you. It only carries the soft echo of lessons learned, of patience acquired, of understanding earned. Your body relaxes, your mind quiets, and in that quiet, you carry the palace, the gardens, the courtiers, the fountains, the shard, and the veiled woman all within you, as part of the story that continues beyond any single reflection, and as you drift fully into sleep. The palace exhales in unison with you, a soft, eternal rhythm that carries the weight of time. You are a part of it now, storyteller and witness, bearer of yesterdays, cradled in the gentle continuity of the world. The lamps burn low. The moon casts its silver glow. The mirror gleams faintly, patient and silent. And you, at last, are at peace